Hey guys, welcome back to the Creepy Rule Story channel. Today we are diving into a story of a night guard at a prison. There are some deadly and terrifying rules to follow. Let's start the story. They told me the prison was decommissioned in 1997. They didn't mention the things that still live inside. Last week, I took a job as the night guard at Hollow Creek Correctional Facility, a crumbling prison in rural West Virginia. My boss handed me a set of rules, 10 in total. He said if I followed them to the letter, I'd make it to sunrise. I thought it was a sick joke. But last night, I realized the rules are the only thing keeping me alive. At 11 p.m., when I first saw Hollow Creek, my stomach turned. The place was massive, a brick fortress with cracked walls and rusted barbed wire. The sign above the gate was half-hanging. Hollow Creek Facility. My boss, Officer Turner, met me at the gate. "You're sure about this, kid?" he asked. "I need the work," I said. Turner frowned. "Fine, but there are rules." He handed me a laminated sheet. "Follow these exactly. No shortcuts. No questions. The rules for Hollow Creek night shift. 1. Do your rounds every hour on the hour. Never miss one. 2. If you hear footsteps behind you in cell block C, do not turn around. Walk faster until the sound stops. 3. At midnight, the inmate in cell number 37 will call your name. Do not respond. Do not look inside. 4. If you see someone in a guard's uniform with no face, don't speak to them. Avoid eye contact and take the next corridor immediately. 5. Between 2 o'clock and 2:10 a.m., you must stay in the control room. Lock the door and don't look at the security monitors. 6. If you hear a woman crying in the showers, do not investigate. Cover your ears and hum until the sound stops. 7. If the lights in the east wing flicker 3 times, run back to the main hall and wait 5 minutes. Don't ask why. 8. Don't open the warden's office door under any circumstances. If knocking comes from inside, leave immediately. 9. If your radio crackles with static at 3:33 a.m., turn it off. Do not listen to the voice. 10. At 5 a.m., leave through the south gate only. Don't look back when you hear footsteps following you. Turner's warning. Most don't make it past the first week, Turner said flatly. "Why?" I asked. He gave me a hard look. "Because they forget rule number 3. "What's in cell number 37? Turner didn't answer. "Clock in at 11. Start rounds at midnight sharp." Then he left. The prison was quiet. Too quiet. As I walked past rows of empty cells, I felt like I was being watched. When I reached cell block C, I heard faint footsteps behind me. Step, step, step. Rule 2, don't turn around. Walk faster. My hands trembled as I quickened my pace. The footsteps grew louder. Step, step, step. Something cold brushed my neck. I clenched my jaw, fighting the urge to look. The sound stopped. I exhaled slowly. At 12:03 a.m., as I approached cell number 37, a voice rasped. "Carter, I see you." I froze. My name. The voice was deep, wet, and gurgling. Rule 3, do not respond. Do not look inside. I stared straight ahead and kept walking. But in my peripheral vision, I swore I saw pale fingers wrapping around the bars. Don't you want to know why they all quit? I covered my ears and kept moving. At 1 a.m., in the east wing I saw him. A guard in a faded uniform stood at the end of the hall. His head was blank, smooth skin where a face should be. Rule 4, Don't speak to them. Take the next corridor immediately. As I turned the corner, I heard a faint whisper. You'll wear this face soon. At 2 a.m. I locked myself inside the control room as instructed. The monitors flickered to life, showing every cell block. Movement. A woman in a torn hospital gown crawled across the floor of cell block B. She stopped, looked directly at the camera. Then the screen went black. I squeezed my eyes shut, humming to drown out the static in my radio. At 2:15 a.m., the radio buzzed to life. Carter, you've already broken a rule. My stomach dropped. You didn't notice, did you? Go check cell number 37. My flashlight flickered out, and from the darkness of the hallway I heard it. Carter, Carter, come closer. That was my first night at Hollow Creek. In part 2, I'll tell you what happens if you break Rule 3, and why no one leaves the prison after their 7th shift. Don't forget to subscribe Dark Horror Bytes. And if you're ever offered a job at a decommissioned prison, don't take it. So here is the mysterious part 2. Let's start. In part 1, I told you about my first night as the night guard at Hollow Creek Prison, the decommissioned correctional facility in rural West Virginia. I was handed 10 strange rules to follow. I thought they were insane at first, until the footsteps started following me in cell block C and a faceless guard stared at me from the shadows. But now I think I've made a mistake. At 2:15 a.m., the radio crackled to life and a voice said, "You've already broken a rule. Go check cell number 37. Against every instinct in my body, I'm walking back there now. And what I'm about to tell you, I hope you never forget it. At 2:20 a.m., the air grew heavier the closer I got to cell number 37. The temperature dropped so fast I could see my breath. Each step echoed through the block like a gunshot. The door to cell number 37 loomed ahead. It was an old iron-barred door, warped from decades of neglect. The voice came again. "Carter, please. I can't breathe." It was the same wet, gurgling voice as before, but this time it sounded younger, fragile. Who's in there?" I whispered before I could stop myself. Rule 3 broken. A faint laugh echoed through the cell. "You broke the rule. That means I can come out now." The lights above me flickered violently. The cell door creaked open an inch, just enough for a hand to slip through. It wasn't human. The skin was gray and stretched thin, veins bulging like black worms. The fingers were far too long. "Come closer, Carter. I'll tell you why they hired you." At 2:25 a.m., I stumbled backward and ran. But as I rounded the corner, I froze. The warden's office door was wide open. Rule 8. Don't open the warden's office door under any circumstances. If knocking comes from inside, leave immediately. But it wasn't knocking I heard. It was sobbing. The files. I crept closer. The office smelled of mildew and old blood. Stacks of yellowed files covered the desk. On top was one labeled, "Night Guard Carter H." My name. I flipped it open. Subject selected for Night Guard program. Profile matches, gullible, desperate, no family attachments. Page after page of notes described me in perfect detail. How did they know all this? At the bottom. If subject fails to adhere to rules, proceed with integration into Hollow Creek entity. My heart stopped. At 2:40 a.m., the sobbing behind the desk stopped. Something moved. A shadow stretched across the floor. Then a voice, deep and hollow. "You shouldn't be in here, boy." The warden stepped out from the shadows. His eyes were pits of swirling darkness. and in his hand was a set of old iron keys. The Hollow Creek entity lore. "Do you know why this prison closed?" he asked. I shook my head. "They didn't shut us down because of budget cuts. They shut us down because Hollow Creek doesn't just hold men. It feeds them." "Feeds them?" I whispered. The warden smiled. "This prison is alive. It takes from the living and gives back something worse." He tossed the keys at my feet. "You broke Rule 3, Carter. That means cell number 37 isn't locked anymore. You'll need these." At 3 a.m., I sprinted back to the main hall, fumbling with the keys. The south gate wasn't far. If I could make it there. But the lights went out, and from the darkness I heard the voice again. "You're not leaving. Not yet." Something cold grabbed my shoulder. The flashlight flickered on for just a second, and in that brief moment I saw what was holding me. It was me. Or it looked like me. But its eyes were hollow. Its mouth hung open, filled with teeth too sharp and too many rows. "You'll take my place now." Then everything went black. That was my second night at Hollow Creek. In part 3, I'll tell you what happens when you break too many rules, and the horrifying truth about what happens to every night guard here. Remember to subscribe to Dark Horror Bytes. And if you ever find yourself walking past an old prison at night, don't look in the windows. You might see your own face staring back at you. Now let's start the last part. In part 2, I broke Rule 3 and peeked into cell number 37. That was my first mistake. Then I learned about the Hollow Creek entity, the thing that runs the prison from the shadows. Now it's my third night on shift. The rules are harder to follow. The walls feel like they're breathing. And I'm starting to forget who I am. This is my last shift. And if you're listening, promise me you'll never work here. At 10:58 p.m., when I got home after my second shift, I tried to sleep. But I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was in my apartment. At 7 p.m., my phone rang. It was Officer Turner. "You're late, Carter. The prison doesn't like tardiness." The line went dead. When I looked outside, Hollow Creek loomed across the street. But that was impossible. The prison was 50 miles away. At 11:15 p.m., when I arrived at the guard station, the laminated rules were gone. In their place was a handwritten note. "The rules change on the third night. Don't trust your memory." A second sheet listed new rules. 1. Never leave the prison before 6:06 a.m., even if the gates are open. 2. If you see yourself walking the halls, do not engage. Let it pass. 3. Between 1:30 and 1:40 a.m., do not breathe inside the infirmary. Hold your breath. 4. At 4:44 a.m., the Hollow Creek entity will call for you. You must not answer. 5. If you hear the sound of digging under your feet, move to higher ground immediately. 6. Do not attempt to leave through the warden's office. It's no longer a door, it's a mouth. At 12 a.m., during my first round, I spotted movement in cell block C. It was a man wearing my uniform. His walk was identical to mine. Same limp, same posture. Rule 2 knew, if you see yourself walking the halls, do not engage. But I couldn't help it. "Hey!" I shouted. He stopped, turned his head. His face was a writhing mass of pale hands and screaming mouths. "Too late, Carter. I've been wearing your skin since the first shift." At 1:33 a.m., the air in the infirmary was heavy and damp. I tried to hold my breath like the rules said, but something brushed past my arm. I inhaled sharply, and suddenly the world twisted. The beds were filled with guards in Hollow Creek uniforms. But they were wrong, two pale eyes rolled back, chest cavities cracked open. One by one they sat up. "We all broke the rules, Carter," a voice echoed from the corner. The warden sat in a chair, sharpening a long, rusted blade. "You're not the first night guard to try and fight it, but you will be the last." "What is this place?" I whispered. He smirked. "Hollow Creek isn't just a prison. It's a threshing ground for the soul. The inmates were never meant to leave, and neither are you." At 3:33 a.m., my radio hissed and crackled. A voice whispered through the static. "Carter, answer me, or I'll take your tongue." I slammed it off and threw it to the floor. The static kept coming from inside my head. At 4:44 a.m., the walls trembled. The floor split open, revealing a dark chasm below. From the depths came a sound, a low, guttural growl that turned into words. "Carter, come to me." My body moved on its own, stepping closer to the edge. Rule 4 knew, "You must not answer." But my voice betrayed me. "Yes," I whispered. Suddenly, I was back at the start of my first night. Officer Turner stood at the gate, handing me the laminated rules. "You're sure about this job, kid?" I wanted to scream, but my mouth wouldn't move. This wasn't my first shift. This wasn't even my 100th. I'd been here for years. Every night I broke the rules. Every night the entity erased my memory and started over. As I walked into the prison again, I passed a mirror in the hall. But the reflection wasn't me. It was the version of me I'd seen on night 3, the one with too many mouths and too many eyes. It smiled. "Don't worry, Carter. You'll get it right next time." Then it walked away into the shadows. That was my last shift at Hollow Creek. Or maybe it was my first. I don't know anymore. If you're listening, promise me you'll never take a night job at a decommissioned prison. And if you ever see a man in a Hollow Creek uniform staring at you through your window, don't let him in. He's not there to apply for the job. He's there to replace you.